It's been a rough start to this year for this company, but I have to imagine when you parse through some of the fourth quarter numbers when it comes to transactions and revenue, that given the slump that we've seen across crypto, maybe this wasn't too surprising.
Well, it shouldn't have been surprising. I mean, there's quite a bit of transparency with regard to spot trading volumes in particular, and across its whole platform. So, we had anticipated that the fourth quarter numbers would be soft, but if you take a closer look, there are actually some silver linings within Coinbase's numbers. In particular, if you look at the institutional platform during the quarter, you saw an increase of 37% quarter over quarter in terms of revenues. The main driver of that was crypto derivatives, reflecting the first full quarter in which the company's acquisition of Deribit was in its numbers. That bodes very well for the institutional part of the platform going forward. We also saw on the stablecoin front that the company's revenues generated from stablecoins, and it is a beneficiary of a portion of the earnings on the float underlying the USDC stablecoin.
Right.
That was up 3% sequentially. So not all bad news.
Well, I'm curious, what does diversification look like for a business such as Coinbase? Because we got Robinhood earnings a little bit earlier this week, and as you might expect, I mean, when it comes to their crypto business, revenues were a little bit disappointing, but Robinhood isn't just crypto. Of course, they have equity trading, and they've also been pivoting into prediction markets as well. But when it comes to Coinbase, how can they diversify to the same extent, and do you think that they need to?
Well, I definitely think that they need to, because an overdependence on retail trading is not a future that you want to have, especially if the fees associated with trading begin to go in the direction of traditional brokerages, which is to say, move towards zero over time. I think there's an understanding that that's the case. That's why we've seen diversification. In fact, Coinbase has some overlap with Robinhood on a couple of those fronts. It is moving into the traditional equity space. It's moving into the prediction market space, but it even goes beyond that. I think it's important to note that as much as Coinbase's stock price is highly correlated with the prices of crypto, its business or the underlying value of its business really is not. And we believe that over time, especially with the company's base layer 2 blockchain, the earnings that it could theoretically get off of that once it moves to monetization, that in and of itself, we believe is a very meaningful potential driver of growth going forward.